I'll just say a few words about the origins. They were actually quite interesting. I ran into a Czech economist in 1989 named Josef Zeleniec, and we were at a conference in Vienna. He came with $10. That's all he got as an allocation. So I bought him a beer and we started talking. And we said, well, you know, there will be some need for Western educated economists in this entire Soviet bloc region because economics, in the sense that we know it, was not taught there at the time. And so this idea was there, and then fall of the Berlin Wall, and we started. So we marched into the office of the new rector of Charles University, Vadim Baloch, who was a famous philosopher, dissident, worked with Václav Havel. Now he was a new rector, and we said, you know, we're going to start for you a top-notch economics department here. We're going to bring in students from all over, you know, former Soviet bloc, and Charles University is again going to be famous in this. And he says, economics, is that a science? And I said, well, you know, we have theories, we test hypotheses. And he says, okay, that sounds good. You know, I've just abolished the Institute of Marxism and Leninism, so you can take over. So we did. So by today, CERGE-EI has had over 900 alumni. About more than 40% are women. They come from all over the former Soviet bloc, the Balkan part of the world. Nowadays they apply and come from actually all over the world, but the focus is still there. We have top-notch faculty who actually live by the highest world standards, and that's thanks to the Executive and Supervisory Committee, which is composed of renowned economists. A number of them are sitting here amongst us, who really have set and maintained the standard at the top level. And so CERGE-EI is now recognized as a center of excellence generally. It's focusing on the region, but generally.
Over the last 16 years, we've been in what my colleague Larry Diamond calls a democratic recession. Freedom House, in its annual Freedom in the World survey, has noted a decline in aggregate global democracy for 16 years straight. And the drop last year was particularly severe and included the two largest democracies in the world, the United States and India. And I think with the onset of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we're seeing the non-democratic world colliding very dramatically in ways that are going to have big consequences.
Happy birthday to CERGE-EI. And indeed, I do remember the founding and the excitement and all of the fulfillment of your objectives and dreams. It's so impressive, and really a warm congratulations to everybody that has been part of this remarkable development.
The questions here is that the prospects are bright for the world. And I have to urge you, it's my professional responsibility as an economic historian to urge you to take the long view.
Globalization actually kind of stalled out about 15 years ago. We really haven't seen large increases in the share of trade in world GDP since the eve of the financial crisis. We saw a little bit of trade war and so on, and now it's all really disrupted. The one thing I would say that has turned out to be a surprise to me, and I'm still not quite managing to process it, is that the kind of globalization that is taking the hardest hit is not the fancy stuff. We talked a lot about these global supply chains and the fact that the phone in my pocket is produced in about 15 different countries. But where the real disruptions are right now is in wheat, fertilizer, oil, metals. It's the kind of globalization that we've had for 150 years. That's the kind of stuff that's being really disrupted.
CERGE has been my family. I met my husband there. And I have been with it through years. When most people in Prague, most of us as first cohort of students, didn't even know what economics is all about. And just to add to the ambition, it had a world image in its logo. Jan Švejnar, of course, was the driving force, and all of us could imagine after today. And all this happened in a moment that was incredibly poignant in the region I grew up in, one where CERGE literally was the right institution in the right place at the right time. Because when many people discussed the sequencing and which theory should apply, and whether privatization should be a mass one or a targeted one, Jan took truly long-term view, focused on a mission and focused on education, and that was quite unique. We have been looking at this statement of CERGE-EI mission. Education, it's understandable. Promoting research, logically speaking. The last one, think of it, 1991. The mission was to introduce the American ideal of free and open inquiry and non-discriminatory training in a region where such concepts were impressed for 50 years. And so CERGE-EI is a model as relevant as ever. And it's also a model because from the get-go it was building a global community. It made us feel as part of the world, and it brought the world to Prague and continues doing that, but whose greatest ambition was and is now always to be part of the West. And both of these, free and open inquiry, and this ideal of a global community is really critical in the current juncture. Deidre McCloskey said it very well today. I think liberty matters.